And we're back, guys. You know what time it is. Second hour reality brief coming up. So,
get ready for the good stuff.
You guys, veterans of the show, will have heard me talk often about a Facebook group that I've been in with a bunch of people who involved in secret space programs to varying degrees, people interested in it, kind of like a support group. One of those, the admins of that group, Penny Bradley, she has a really interesting story, by the way, which if you want to see that, you can go on YouTube, put in Penny Bradley. There's several interviews with different people, Peter Rink, that guy Denny just did one. So anyway, recently there had been some pretty heavy allegations made against her, and the group, I guess, which is a really great group, by the way. But we just wanted to have her on and get her thoughts on it. Penny, you there? Oh, I'm sorry. Penny, you there?
Hello?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I had you turned down. So, thanks for being on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and my laptop decided to give me the black screen of death tonight, so there's no video. Normally, you can at least see me.
That's okay.
It's been a ride lately, yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about the group and why you started it, or why you helped start it to begin with?
Okay, there were a group of about 12 of us that were in a chat room. And we were all starting to remember having been in the SSP, and we found that the more we talked amongst ourselves, the more we actually remembered. And I found that with my interviews, too. The more you explore the memories, the more details come up. Tomas, who is in the chat room on your show now, came up with the idea of, well, if we're remembering, maybe other people are too, so let's form a group.
Makes sense.
Made sense to us. We said, okay, go for it. That was just about a year ago. And he's the founder of the group, not me. He does CGI art, and he's been working on a comic book, a really good one, I might add. And he asked me to kind of take over the helm while he was involved in the project. And so I did. And at first we let anybody and everybody in, and we pretty quickly discovered that was not a good plan.
I think that's
we started screening people to make sure they had at least some UFO interest before we let them in. But the game plan from the get-go was that this was a group for people who were remembering having been in something, but they weren't quite sure what. And we were never about being hotshot big names or providing information for everybody or defining what was secret space program community standards. Nah. We were just a bunch of people who had been victimized, who were trying to figure out what had happened to us, what we'd been involved with, and thought maybe other people were in the same place. And so we considered this a peer group support system. One of our admins is a clinical counselor for people who've been through trauma. She's the only one of the admins that was not, to her knowledge, involved in the program. And she gets a little defensive about us because, in her own words, she's tired of watching people that have been through mind control continue to be bullied. And that's where she's coming from. We respect that. We started off with 12 admins. A couple of them left right away because they didn't want to be associated with weirdness. And so we replaced them with a couple of people from the group. And so we had regularly gone along with 12 members of the admins. And oh my God, we've had like 5,000 people in the group over the year, and about a third of them stay long enough to get their curiosity satisfied and then leave. So we're at about a little over 3,000 people now. And
well, we're sticking around for the long haul, Miss Bradley.
You ain't getting rid of us. You're going to have to kick us out.
You know, that's what amazes me about us being called toxic by the person who left. If we were that toxic, we wouldn't be having that many people sticking around stubbornly. I spend hours a day in chat with members that are coming to me with stories that to me are obviously they've been through mind fracture and they've been off-world, or they've been through things that I haven't even experienced. And they're trying to make sense of memories out of context. And all we're trying to do is give people a safe place to do that. We're not telling them who they are or what they were or where they've been. We're just sharing our stories and letting everybody figure out their own stuff. And I knew something was going to be coming whenever that Corey Good started naming our group in some of his blogs. And he started attacking one of our admins. And he went behind the scenes and talked to several interviewers about Tony, who you interviewed. I find Tony's story completely credible. I find Elena Kapolnik's story completely credible. Tony was a slave who worked under Darkfleet. Elena was in ICC.
What's ICC?
I started off at Langley for 5 years, where my psi abilities were weaponized. And I was actually with Mars Defense Force until I had an incident where they decided I was unstable, and they sent me to Darkfleet as punishment. And the whole time I was in Darkfleet, I was mind-linked into the ship's computer. So I was not a free agent any of that time. And for people to accuse me of being a Nazi in my Earth life because I was mind-linked into a computer is cruel, heartless, and pure bullshit.
I'd concur. That's hardly fair.
Yeah.
It's not like you had a choice in the matter.
No. And anybody...
I was kidnapped when I was 4 years old.
Yeah, it's
and
not like it was a
through
voluntary
5 years
interaction.
of torture that makes Stranger Things look like a cakewalk, and then taken to Mars for 25 years, where I was a fighter pilot. I was basically living like Randy Kramer. And because I had an incident where I was sent to take out a native reptilian nest and found someone I was involved with being dinner, and I freaked out and fired everything in my plane. Mars Defense Force decided I was unstable, and I'm not sure I blame them. But what I did in Darkfleet was not under my free will. And what I'm doing now, trying to figure out what was going on then does not mean I'm a Nazi.
No.
Because I'm not.
Absolutely.
And
I haven't seen... I've been in that group for a while now. I'm also in a few other groups with you. I've never seen anything like that that would make me think that, you know, that you're a bad person at all. I mean, never mind a Nazi. It's just amazing.
Well, I appreciate that because...
Well, and you deserve a platform. That's why we're really happy to have you on, because to have this sort of insurrection is hardly fair. You've been through a lot.
Well, we had rules in the group because when you have that many people and they all have different agendas, and you're trying to keep it safe for people to remember their own crap, you have to have some sort of framework. And because all these people have different religions and different politics, and all they wanted to do was fight over them. Instead of banning people, we banned the topics. We said, no politics, no religion. Because MeLabs, it's a subgroup of people who've been in SSP. It's the people like me and Randy Kramer who have been genetically modified in order to do the work we're assigned. We're called MeLabs. It's short for military laboratories. And we have all been modified with reptilian DNA. And so we ban reptilian bashing. I mean, it seems to be a simple, logical thing, you know? And, I mean, if you're in a room with a person of another race, are you going to sit there and insult them?
No, absolutely not. I mean, and, you know, the rules in that group are, you know, they make perfect sense. And it's like, you know, if you want to talk about a religion or politics, or you want to reptile bash or what have you, there's plenty of other groups on Facebook where that is the topic of the day. So
exactly.
Why do you need to do that in this
group? We're not
group?
saying you can't talk about it. We just don't want to hear it.
Well, in real life, I wouldn't be rude to somebody else in their own house. So on the internet, why do people think that it's cool to, like, walk into somebody else's group and be rude to them?
It's because they're anonymous. They don't have to look you in the eyes while they do their crap, and it gives them a feeling of power that they can just say what they want and walk away. And that's part of what happened here. Was we had this person who hadn't been in the group very long, who knew we didn't allow posts about anything charging money. As far as I know, our average income is under $1,000 a month. So we don't allow posts asking for money.
Right.
It makes sense to us. You know.
Yeah, well, otherwise it would just be full of advertisement, because let's face it, that's what the internet is one gigantic advertisement.
That's what one of my other groups has turned into, is a kiosk for sales. And this wasn't about selling stuff. This was about helping people.
Mm-hmm. It's a support group.
So she posts this thing. It's some event that's going to be in back east that supposedly an Agarthan ambassador is going to be in it. They're charging $500 a ticket for that.
Yeah, I saw it was between $200 and $500 for the weekend with the ambassador from Agartha, who is desperately in need of money. It would seem.
Apparently. And I'm looking. I had deleted it from the group because we moderate posts. I had deleted it and deleted it and deleted it and deleted it from other people. And so she comes in and somebody let it in. Well, the person who is a counselor took a look at the lady's face, and something clicked about someone that she remembered that I don't know who it is, so I had nothing to do with this. To be honest, I was in bed asleep when all this went down. So I walk in, to my group had I actually wasn't abducted in my sleep for once.
It's always nice.
And I walk into the group, and there's this fight going on, and I've been added into 2 chat rooms, and I go in there, and I'm being demanded that I let this person back in. And I go and look on the group, and yeah, she broke the rules, and yeah, the other admin actually did some research and looks good to me, and no, she didn't give any facts defending herself. And Tomas had been the one, because we have a rule, it takes 2 admins to ban somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Tomas had been the second admin, and he's founder, and I'm looking at this and going, I'm not going to override the founder.
Right.
I mean, let's get real here. I'm not going to override my founder, and I'm not going to turn my back on an admin that's doing her homework. And so all of a sudden, Mr. Weber decides I'm the devil. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here that he's so pissed about this? Well, it turns out that the person who was banned is one of his business associates.
Mm-hmm. I did run into that.
He had money involvement in this issue. Okay. I'm not against people making money off of their stories, write a book, charge for speeches, whatever you do. But there reaches a point where the whistleblower runs out of new information, and they've been making their money, their living doing this, and suddenly they don't have anything new for an audience that's just begging for new. And so they start latching on to things to keep making more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that with Mr. Weber. I've seen that with Dr. Sala. I've seen that with Dr. Greer. I've seen that now with Corey Good. Do you know he has a GoFundMe that he's asking for $500,000?
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I did see that for a graphic novel and a movie, no less. And you know, it's funny. It just makes me think about what David Wilcock's movie and well, he was supposed to be making that 2007. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Penny.
If they can do it, fine. More power to them.
Right.
If you can crowdsource it, go for it.
At the same time, they're turning around, and I don't charge. I'm talking because I'm still getting abducted. I'm getting shot at with energy weapons. I've been shot 4 times now. My ex was murdered in December after the CIA threatened me in October that they would. And so it's for me, this is a life or death situation. Money's irrelevant. I'm telling my story, my truth, because I may not be here tomorrow to do it.
Well, if you think about it in the sense that it is a money-making operation, it would make sense for people to want to kind of take out their competitors, and what better way to do it than to call them a Nazi? And it's like you said, you're not even charging for it, so it's like you're giving it away, and he's mad that you're giving it away or something. I don't really know.
As far as I know, all of us in my group that are doing videos, I think there might be 3 that their YouTubes are monetized, and otherwise we're doing it for free just because the story needs to be out there. And it just really confuses me that they're pushing this issue about Pizzagate, but they're not pushing the issue that all of the SSP veterans, the survivors, were kidnapped. None of us did this of our own free will. There's not a single one of us that did. And my generation, we went through extreme mind fracturing. I was drowned over and over and over and over, and I was electrocuted in an electric chair, not hit with a taser. And they have technology in the SSP where they can dump you into a tank. You can be dead, and they'll dump you into the tank, and you're back. You can be dead up to a week. It can be just your brain that they find, and in 3 weeks, you're back. And they got you.
They regrow you from your own stem cells?
They regrow you from your own stem cells, yes.
Far out.
From whatever tissues they happen to find. I have memories of being dinner for Martian spiders. So I know I died. And yet I'm still here.
And I'm sorry, going back a little bit to what you were saying before about, some members in the group having YouTube channels that are monetized. Let's just put this out in the open. There is not a lot of money in that unless you have millions and millions and millions of views. I mean, they're really, our channel.
I know.
We broadcast.
I'm not complaining that they do it. I'm just stating that.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Our group are not.
Are
not making money off this. We're not supporting ourselves off of it. We're not a threat on the circuit. We're just. The only thing is that the guys on the circuit are losing control of the narrative.
Exactly. See,
they're becoming unnecessary because we are helping people remember for themselves.
It was exactly my point that, those people, they're not charging $500 for a ticket to listen to someone who claims they're from Agartha. You know what I mean? It's a totally different ball game. I mean, it's like apples and oranges. It's the people that are doing this kind of stuff are really. They say, if you listen to David Wilcock and Corey Good, they say that we don't make a lot of money. We don't make a lot of money. But I've heard in some videos David Wilcock talking about his his butler essentially. It's like, I thought you didn't make a lot of money, man. I don't know. I'm not trying to turn this into a bash fest or anything, but
the others, when I realized I had my own memories, and I started getting shot last year in July, and I hadn't talked about it outside the one group, the Secret Space Program, which is now a secret group because of Mr. Weber's attacks. We've only lost 5 people, and 3 of them we kicked out. So he hasn't made a big difference in our lives. There was an overnight panic attack by the group because he posted threats in the group.
I saw
the general consensus is, from what the people are saying, the general consensus is that if he didn't want to be in the group, to just leave.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's kind of how the internet works.
Would you mind if I read what he wrote on his public page here? Because, it's some pretty heavy allegations, and I would just like you to be able to defend yourself from this specifically. So the guy goes on his Facebook page, and he posts this public warning. The group named Secret Space Program, founded by former self-confessed German DVD Nazi Dark Fleet member Penny Bradley, which he's wrong there because it wasn't even founded by you. You were there in the beginning, but it wasn't founded by you. Of which I was admin for of a year until today, when ejected for exposing the toxicity in the group. It appears to be led by a private agenda of a clique of administrators that are censoring and obfuscating legitimate study and discussion of the secret space program, in furtherance of an apparent German DVD Nazi secret space program agenda. I would warn both members and others to exercise extreme caution around that group and its administrators. And he goes on to say, at the personal level, my experience of interacting with Penny Bradley over the course of a year as administrator in the group secret space program she founded and co-administrates under rules that reinforce behavior modification. is that the entity Penny Bradley is still under the control of negative internal and external controllers from German DVD Dark Fleet Nazi secret space program that is allied with the Dracos and sentient AI. And he has recreated an incubus of the Dark Fleet German DVD in her group. Bradley even barked out code words in German at one point when she attempted to create a virtual shaming experience on Facebook in a chat room with other admins, It failed as I blew them off with vernacular. All German DVD mind control victims. I mean, that's pretty heavy. He's saying that
I use German because he said, quote, "I fuck you."
What?
And I responded with,
I fuck you.
"Du bist nicht gut genug," which means you are not good enough.
Nice.
Good one. So, I mean, but just because you use German means you're a Nazi? That's what that means?
That's his reasoning, yes.
This guy is saying, Penny, that you're essentially in league with the cabal, is what this guy is saying. I was at work.
I'm on Social Security disability. I get $800 a month. If I were cabal, I wouldn't be poor.
That kind of like that's like people it's like saying that the people in Auschwitz
we have made it safe
because we use their bunks
to be in the group and say I was Dark Fleet. If that's producing an incubus,
that's Oh my.
That's it.
I didn't even get to see any
He
of this.
was an admin for over a year and never said a word to me until I refused to let his business associate back in the group.
Right, now he's mad that you won't let him spam his crap in your group.
And you know what?
Now he's going to come out and start talking a bunch of guff.
If this guy's been in the group for a year, I can't remember seeing him post in this group, but recently I have seen him posting in other Secret Space Program and Exo-Politics groups, because I'm in a lot of groups on Facebook. Most of them are just, I don't even know why I bother, but
most of the groups are
a lot of it's probably
low-level people that are curious. That was the difference with our group, is that we were looking for people who were veterans. We were looking for the people who were really there to help them remember. Out of the 3,000 or so we have, I think we're just over that. We might be to 3,400 or about that. I figure from people who have talked to me that there are 500 real veterans in the group. And that's why the people from the circuit are starting to discredit us.
Well, and not to turn this into a total slam fest, but we do have a commentator from our YouTube channel who says that the supposed Agarthan ambassador is none other than Jay-Z Knight, known scam artist.
That's Tomas from the group.
The commenter in your chat is the founder for the group. He's there to give me support in this interview.
Oh, awesome. All right, well, thanks for being around, sir.
Well, I initially thought so when I saw those pictures. I mean, this is really neither there nor here, but when I did a little more digging on it, and it seems to be two different people, but that doesn't mean that, it's any less of a scam. I mean, why would an ambassador from Agartha need money?
Exactly.
First of all, and the first video of her on the internet is of her trying to get money for a weekend, enlightenment stay thing in Italy, I think it was, or maybe it was, I don't know, it was somewhere, but she was trying to get money for you to go there, and then she'll enlighten you over the weekend or whatever. That was the first internet presence I could find.
That's really common in the New Age community. That's becoming common in all of the SSP community, whether it's the Mars people or the people talking about the tech or people talking about the various programs. They all have these. There's an event in March in Los Angeles that it's only $200 a person for the weekend, but you have to pay transportation and you have to stay at their hotel, which is almost $200 a night per person, and it's 3 days. So you're talking at $1,000 a person to go to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're a group with average income of $1,000 a month.
Yeah,
so
that's
we don't share those things.
And it would be...
You have other groups that do.
And, I'm not saying it's not okay to ask for money for stuff like that. That's perfectly okay. The main problem I have is they'll ask for the money, and it's supposedly this great secret that humanity just has to know, but then they don't give away the information after a certain amount of time after they're not getting money from it no more. You feel what I'm saying? I don't know. That's why I call this a scam, because this is exactly, to me, what that is.
The flip side of that is that's why we respect you, because you seem like you're pretty dedicated to actually getting knowledge out to people, disseminating information.
Oh, yeah.
And, I'd like to think that we share a pretty common purpose in that regard.
And I think that's probably why a lot of people in the group contact you, because, I feel like the people probably look up to you in that respect. And, you do seem approachable, and you're a nice person.
Well, if I'm willing to say I was used in Darkfleet and this is what they used me for, whether it implicates me in crimes or not, that means I'm being transparent and I have integrity in the person I am now. Would I have done those things if I had not been under mind control? No. I'm still taken for super soldier duty. I'm still taken. I have an alter that my records show works for the CIA. I don't share memory with her. I wouldn't know about her except I got my ACIO records from Peter the Insider. I've gotten other records through someone who has a connection to Skynet. And some of the things that I've been used for make me wonder if I'm ever going to be free, because they have the technology to bring you back from the dead.
Well,
and I'm just...
At the very least,
it brings up some deep religious issues for me, and I've been dealing with a lot of that since my ex was murdered in December. I've been dealing with a lot of personal churning about what they've got me still involved in that I have been unable to break free from.
Mm-hmm.
And does that mean I'm going to want someone else involved with it? Oh, hell no. I'm trying to get me free, not involve anybody else. I really think they're going to kill me off before they set me free, and then revive me in a clone body somewhere where I'm just enslaved.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they really want to let you
That's my
go
biggest
either.
fear. I mean, if Mr. Weber and Mr. Good want to attack me, well, that's on their own heads, because what goes around comes around, and they'll get it in the end. I'm basically talking because I wanted our side to be documented, and you offered the opportunity, and I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
I have not attacked him. I'm simply responding to his attacks. I think there was a time when he served a good purpose, and he's losing control of the narrative, and he's scared. And I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be a threat to anyone. I'm just trying to help people like me remember what happened to us.
And it's a very noble cause. And I really hope that the scenario that you put forth about, ending up getting transferred over doesn't happen, because that would be totally just terrible. I don't know what else to say about that. I mean, that's one thing that, fortunately, as far as I know, that I don't have to go to sleep with on my conscience at night thinking about. My hat's off to you, Penny.
Well, that's why I didn't want to do any interviews after he was murdered. Denny talked me into it because he was willing to drive to my house and we went out to a local lake and had a good interview. But I actually talked in that interview about the emotional parts, which I hadn't been doing. I had been being very rational and logical and by the book, and this was what happened, and and I didn't have it together enough to do that. So what you saw in the Denny interview is who I really am in this life. I'm damaged. I'm confused some days. I'm angry that this happened not only to me but to the rest of us. There are people that I know are being used as super soldiers that are younger than my children. And I've looked in my grandkids' eyes and know they have been being used too, and they're in high school.
I can't imagine.
And there's not a damn thing we can do to stop it, except expose what's happened and hope enough people listen that it gets stopped. I'm mortified that people are talking about Pizzagate and not tying SSP into it. Because Pizzagate is step one of what they do to us. They kidnap us as little kids, they use us as sex slaves, and then they mind fracture us and send us into space.
Well, and that's a lot of the Pizzagate stuff that we've tried to expose. Last week we had some video of a gentleman who'd been intimidated by the guy who owned Comet Pizza. And that's why the stuff, we talk about the SSP a lot, but the Pizzagate stuff that we come across, we try to expose what the people who are going through that, what they're experiencing firsthand at members,
the researchers involved in that, because we had a little bit about it.
The cabal that they have to deal with.
Yeah, we had a little bit about it tonight too, but we'll have to get to that next week.
The thing with it being part of a continuum, they kidnap the kids, they use them as sex slaves, they mind control them, they send them into space. They're actually mind controlled slaves, no matter what their rank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then after they send you back, you're damaged, and 20 years later you get sick because of the technology they use to age regress you, and they're still pulling you in your sleep. That's why I have my days and nights backwards, is my subconscious thinks that it's not safe to sleep at night.
Well, I'm with you on that for completely different reasons, but yeah, my days and nights are pretty inverted myself. And actually, I had a question for you about that too. We were Don and I were talking earlier about how living in a low gravity or zero gravity environment, even potentially with artificial gravity in play, could affect the human body. And I was wondering if, I doubt physical damage, would last through the age regression process, but does genetic damage carry over after you've been age regressed?
Genetic damage received while you were in your service before your age regressed.
What they do is they keep you so pumped full of chemicals while you're in service. First, that they have to put you in the regen tank at least once a week or your liver will fail. They use a sample of your original DNA. Mm-hmm. They keep a blood sample in a freezer, and every time you come in, that's what they have in the computer for the tank. That's what they're comparing you to. So you're not allowed tattoos because they disappear in the tank. You're not allowed you're not allowed anything 3D in your body because it disappears in the tank, because they set up a hologram that's down to the subcellular level and your body matches to it. And so anything that's not in your DNA will disappear. And you're put in that once a week. and they keep you they've got settings for. They've got a setting for how old they want you to be and how much you're going to weigh. And you're in this every week. You have no time for anything to get seriously messed up because you stay at this all the time. And they never let you get past 35 because that's your maximum usable. That's your peak productivity is at 35. So they don't let you get past that. So you stay young, the prettiest you're ever going to be, productive, and they give you meds to make your brain work better. So you're smarter while you're there, but you're mind controlled because it doesn't affect the mind control fracturing. So you go in fractured, you come out fractured. Now, when you finally are being sent back, now I did a 50 and back. I did 25 years on Mars and 25 years in Darkfleet. And so when they sent me back, they took me from whatever age they had set me for, but I was really 59. And they sent me back to age 4. Remember, I was a 4-year-old when they first abducted me. And they sent me back in time. So it's the change from 160 pounds down to, what is a 4-year-old, about 40 pounds max?
Almost, yeah, somewhere around there, I would think.
So it's not so much that as your body's gotten used to having this every week.
So do you think...
And then you come back and you're back to being a kid and you grow up again, but in the back of your mind you remember being an adult, but you don't understand why. And for me, I was good at science and math, but the science and math they taught here didn't match what they taught on Mars. And I wanted to be an astronaut. Well, my conscious mind didn't know that I'd been a pilot and a navigator. But I wanted to be an astronaut. And when I found out they didn't let girls do that, that was like, oh, my God.
That really makes me wonder. That's the first thing I ever wanted to be when I grew up was an astronaut.
So, I'm sorry.
You know, going through all of this, and then there's something about the process that 20 years after you have it, you start getting sick. And it's very common in the group. That's one of the ways we figure out if you're old enough to have been back 20 years and you're not sick. You may not be. And like if somebody's 50 and they're not sick, you go, wait a minute. Maybe you weren't in the SSP. Maybe you were in something else. Because the super soldiers, they make a clone of you and convert it into a cyborg, and they just move your consciousness back and forth. Yeah, they do that to people.
That's what I was going to ask about the age regression.
If you're having memories of Mars, but you're not sick, then the odds are you're a super soldier and not SSP. And there's little things like that we've learned in the last year to watch for. That's part of how we figure out which program you might have been in. Age regression sickness is in between lupus and fibromyalgia with arthritis thrown in. It's like your entire body is allergic to itself, and you're sick, and the doctor can't figure out, and it's a living nightmare. I got sick at 24. I'm 61 now,
so
and I worked up until 7 years ago when I got hurt at work, and I was actually paralyzed for almost a month. And thankfully that cleared up because I didn't know what caused the paralysis, and I don't know what got rid of it, and that's something else I have to be afraid of, is if I move wrong, I'll be paralyzed again. So I've had people in the group doubt my memories because of the physical mess my body's in now. Well, if they'd been through age regression sickness, they might be in the same boat.
It's like I told Tony, I find it kind of funny that how anyone can, I mean, just because you went through something and you remember it a certain way doesn't mean that it's, you know what I mean? Like, two people will remember the same thing totally differently.
Yeah.
And especially when you're dealing with this level of, you know, mind control, MK Ultra type stuff, there's no telling what has screens, what's been blended in with other memories, you know, or just whatever random things in your mind. Like, if you and I, say I had your same exact experience, you know, when they brought us back and then they scrambled our mind up to blank slate us and whatnot, when we both started remembering, it would be completely different.
Yeah, you'd remember different time incidents. That's one of the things that I've tried to tell people is SSP veterans are from different projects, and it's like, okay, it's like you're talking about a World War II veteran. Someone from Guadalcanal is not going to have had the same experience as someone from D-Day.
Right.
But they were both in the same war at the same time.
Right.
I mean, even with, if I experienced the same exact, you know, life as you, I would still remember it differently once I was brought back and it was mixed with new memories. I firmly believe that. You can't, just because this person says that the alien was blue and this one says it was green or whatever, it doesn't mean that either one is a fraud.
It might be a blue-green something, and they just remembered,
you know, it might have been,
change colors.
it might have been purple. I mean, you know,
yeah,
that's the thing.
What I found with my memories is the most traumatic things came up first. I have a memory of a battle on Mars where the native reptilians tore through the wall, and they're equipped with claws like raptors. So when you're unarmed, you're no match for them. So they came through the wall, and we were like in a cafeteria or something. And the memory is so graphic, I can smell the blood. And that was the first memory that came up. And I was like, well, that didn't happen on Earth. So, but that's too real to have been made up. So that was my first clue that I might have been on Mars.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ran across Randy Kramer, and I'm like, ooh, this makes sense.
Yeah, I think Tony had a similar revelation when he ran across Randy Kramer too.
Yeah.
In reference to my what I brought up earlier about the gravity thing, Tomas mentioned
gravity plating. Yeah, they have gravity plating on the ships so that you don't go flying off the deck.
Tomas says it gives you a little shuffle when you walk, so it's not like Star Trek where you can like drop something from head height and expect it to fall normally. Is it like the gravity is stronger the closer to the floor you get? It's curved differently than normal. And you have
metal in your shoes that sticks to it.
So is it magnetic?
It's magnet. Everything in the SSP is electromagnetic.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Even the propulsion units. The reason I had trouble with Earth-based science is because Einstein was wrong. Electric sun is correct.
Oh, the electric universe?
The electric universe is the most correct Earth theory there is. That mixed with quantum physics, and you've kind of got it.
Look, that would... After some of the inventions that we saw, we had a show a couple of weeks, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, about an inventor guy named John Quincy St. Clair. And, looking at some of the inventions that this guy had put together, that actually makes a lot of sense.
I actually posted something about it in the group.
Yeah, some of the inventions that this guy put out, if you go to the U.S. Patents website and look up John Quincy St. Clair, there are some really amazing things that come out.
Well, to be honest, I haven't been able to look at a lot of things lately because I have people from the group that are chatting with me for up to 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time they're satisfied for the day, I'm exhausted.
Yeah, I could imagine. I mean, well, a lot of...
Give yourself a break.
I couldn't imagine, where would you go if you needed... Who could you talk to? I mean, if you went to a normal Earth psychiatrist, they'd have you committed.
They'd drug you.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the new thing, right? Or they'll have you committed and drug you.
Yes, you would no longer have the freedom of your mind. You would no longer have rational thought of any kind because you would be on a psychiatrist trip.
Yeah, permanent Thorazine binge.
Well, it's great that you're willing to help people and stuff, but you do need to, limit yourself. Don't burn yourself out. I mean, you need you. If you want to keep helping people, you can't, do it all at once and burn yourself out.
After they killed my ex, we had 3 admins leave the group. Well, one is still in the group. She's just not an admin anymore. They got scared, and I don't blame them. They were not veterans. They had interactions with ETs, so they weren't completely out of the loop. But when they realized that people in my world were being murdered, they got scared, and I don't blame them a bit.
No, it's scary.
I was really surprised that Mr. Weber stuck around after that. But now I see that he's decided to attack me. So,
well, Penny, we do have
there's nothing I can do except publicly state my side. I said some things in chat because he was bullying me, and one of our admins has taken photo shots of it, screenshots, and has them available for anyone else. He was just bullying me. Mm-hmm. And I told him that no, I wasn't going to be bullied. And
well, I don't blame you. I mean, you've been through enough of it already as it is. You don't need to take this from this guy.
Yeah, certainly not.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. And, stirring up the drama. I hate to even have to talk about this, but, unfortunately it's something that we do have to address now. But, Penny, we do have to go because we have another show coming on after us, and they have to get in here and get all their stuff ready. If you want to stay on the line for a second, I just want to say something to you off air. And we will see you guys next week on Reality Brief. Hopefully we'll get to some of the Pizzagate stuff that we didn't get to tonight.
So much stuff that we wanted to bring up that we just didn't have time to get to. Weird organisms found buried in caves for 60,000 years. Fireballs in the sky.
The ramp up of the solar flares. We've got rumors of nukes going off in Antarctica. Lots of interesting stuff.
Everything that we meant to cover that we didn't.
But Penny, thanks again for coming on the show. And
be safe out there, hon. Thank you.
Sorry it's under such bad circumstances. We will see you next week.